So here's my little whoopsie recording. Welcome to Cashflow Guys TV. I'm actually recording this after we did this week's episode, and the reason being is I forgot to push the record button. Oopsie, it happens. Anyway, what you're going to watch is Larry Harbolt talking about his rehab days back when he used to rehab properties. He was a licensed general contractor. So we're going to kind of fade right into the middle of the conversation, but there's still a lot of value. That's why I wanted to make sure I save this for you. So enjoy.
List, they're going to charge you for an extra. That's where they make their money. So to get the job, because they know people are cheap and they want the lowest price they can get, they'll give you a low price in many cases. And remember, they've got a family to feed too. They've got bills to pay, but they'll give you a low price to get your job. And then if you change anything, they're going to charge you for extras, and that's where they're going to make up for it. So be aware, just because you got the cheapest price for your rehab doesn't mean that they're going to do the best job. And many people think that handymen, handy women, whatever, are who they're going to hire to do their jobs because they're saving money. In many cases, in the long run, it will cost you more because they're not equipped. They don't have the tools in many cases. They don't have the training. Many times you're better off to use a licensed contractor for certain things. I suggest everything. But that way you know you're getting a professional. So many times you hire the handy person, it might cost you a lot more in the long run in time, no time delays, other aspects of it. So I recommend using licensed contractors when at all possible.
Thanks, Larry. I appreciate that. And I think we pretty much nailed it with the next slide, and you didn't even know this one was coming. I've only had to give them half up front. You know, let's not get into prepaying contractors for work. This is probably, you tell me, but the number one way people get ripped off.
Well, the contractor wants half up front or a large sum of money. So that what that's going to do is that's going to cover materials. That way, if you don't pay them, the only thing they're beaten out of is their labor. But if they're worth their salt, they usually have a credit card with Home Depot or Lowe's and 6 months no interest. So if they can furnish material, and here's another thing, if you furnish material and they get hurt on your job, they were an employee, according to the IRS. And according to the IRS, then if you didn't collect workman's comp and have all the other Social Security standard stuff taken out, you could be in trouble with the IRS. So the thing is, you have to be very aware of if you furnish the material and they ever get hurt, you had employed them, and then they become a liability to you in a big way. That's why today's lesson is so important.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we got some good news. And the good news is that the information we're going to share with you today, it's going to help you fight back. Okay? Because you got to really look at it that way. If you're not going into these rehab projects as if you're going in with, big smile on your face and what could possibly go wrong, then you can expect to have problems. So you kind of got to go in with some sort of a defensive stance. You've got to know what to ask for, what to expect, the steps that you need to take to get stuff done, to protect yourself. And that's what we're going to cover here in a second. The interview process is number one. I can't stress this enough. And people don't do this. And I don't understand why people don't do this, but this is absolutely critical. Now, Larry, I don't know if you want to speak on how much experience should they have realistically. I know in your course that we're going to give you guys access to here when we're done, it talks about generally 5 years is what you're looking for with experience. Right?
Well, you want to have a track record that you can check on with other customers they've done work for to make sure that they were happy with their work, that they finished on time. They didn't gouge them. They didn't charge them for extra things that should have been taken care of under the original agreement. And so your original agreement with the contractor should be in writing, and it should not leave anything out. I'm sure Sean can attest to that. your contract is everything if there's ever a problem.
Oh, Sean can attest to it because he used to get all over me when I left blanks in the contract. Every time I hand him a contract, it's got a blank in it, and he gives me a look like he wants to thump me in the head. So yeah, so now I don't. When every time I do a contract, real estate, whatever, I use your forms, Larry. When I'm hiring a contractor, anytime I'm doing a contract, there are no blanks. That I can assure you. There are no blanks. This is a big one, folks, coming up. Are they licensed for the trade they are interviewing on? See, that Sean says right there in the chat, no blanks. NA is even NA is acceptable over blanks. Are they licensed for the trade they're interviewing for? Let me give you an example of this. There is a electrician's license for low voltage. Okay, you can get a license in Pinellas County, in our county here in Florida, for a low voltage electrical license. It does not entitle you to work on somebody's service panel or 110 or 220 or 440 or whatever you're using. It is for low voltage. It's essentially for landscape lights. Okay, that's what low voltage licenses generally go for or apply to. There's a license for that. There are people running around our market, and if they're in my market, I guarantee you they're in yours. You're not in the Tampa Bay market, that are running around with a low voltage electrical license, and then they're doing work outside of the scope of their license, which means they have not demonstrated proficiency in the area which they're working. That would kind of be like, Sean as an attorney, as a real estate attorney, and then suddenly he's representing you in a case that has nothing to do with, let's say, German law. Well, guess what? Sean has never studied German law. Sean wouldn't have any business representing you as an attorney in German law, because the best thing I know, I don't even think Sean speaks German. Same thing with an electrician. If they're not skilled in the trade that they're licensed, and that's what we talk about being skilled, does the license translate to that?
And when you hire a jack of all trades, you have to understand. Let's put it into other terms. If you were having a heart attack, you wouldn't go to a foot doctor. You see, different licenses mean that they're skilled in certain trades. Just like attorneys are the same way. They have specific things that they are specializing in. So when you hire a contractor, you want a contractor that is licensed for the trade that they're going to be performing for you, because that means that they should be a true professional, knows the business, and will keep you out of trouble by not doing shoddy work, hopefully.
Have they ever had disciplinary action filed against them?
Absolutely. That's one to check on.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that one?
Yeah, if you want to check that out, you can always go to your state and put their name in with the licensing board and see if there's ever been any disciplinary action filed against that contractor for not finishing a job, all kinds of different things. All you've got to do is call the state licensing department for that trade and ask. They will tell you, because that's their job, is to keep record of this, so that if they prey on people, that's what they're there for, is to help protect you from them preying on you again.
Liability. Sean's going to love this one. Folks, to stay safe when you're dealing with contractors, you must learn and implement systems to protect yourself and your family. That is absolutely critical. I'm going to pause the presentation, the screen share, for just 1 second here. Okay. You got to put systems in place, folks, to keep yourself safe from liability. Because like Larry said earlier, You provide materials to somebody, you're technically become an employer. Now, I'm not an attorney, neither is Larry, but we do have Sean here, and it would be reasonable, I would think. I'm not a judge, not an attorney, but it would be reasonable to think that since the IRS gives you grief, and again, we're not even CPAs, the IRS, as far as an independent contractor goes, one of the things that the test questions that CPAs look at is whether or not somebody's an employee and independent contractor is, are materials and supplies and office space and things like that provided by the quote unquote employer. These are things that you have to ask yourself. So this is a question that maybe you would want to run by your CPA. Hey, if I'm buying supplies for this guy, what is my relationship in the eyes of the IRS? Because is there a tax question that comes up there as well? You should know these answers. You should get with a CPA and have this discussion. Get with your attorney, have this discussion. What is my liability? If I have this question, I'm going to call Sean and say, Sean, what's my intended liability in this case? If this guy gets hurt, am I supposed to have workers' comp now because I bought all the lumber to frame out this house? These are questions that you're going to want to have your attorney research. Absolutely. What type of insurance do they carry? And folks, this is one of the things that sometimes it's ignorance. These contractors, they've got the wrong type of insurance or they have inadequate insurance. Sometimes insurance agents, that which are, they're actually some of them are more bottom feeders than realtors, if you can believe that. But the insurance agents, they're competing for the bid. So they want to get the cheapest bid. Sometimes they will sell a lower policy and they don't do a really good job. It's been my experience. They don't do a really good job of comparing apples to apples, the contractors. And here's why. Because the insurance guy, let's say if I use Tom, the insurance guy, well, Tom doesn't know what the other guy's quoting. So he quotes the lowest he can to get the bid, to get the policy. But that doesn't necessarily tell us what it's covering. It's up to us as the consumer to know what type of insurance you should be carrying.
Right. Well, you want to make sure that the contractor has workman's comp insurance. Now, the contractor, if it's just them working, they can get a waiver. It says that if they get hurt, they'll take care of it. But you need to have coverage for all of their employees or their subs. If you have subs on the job, they need to have their own workman's comp. Be sure to get a copy. Then call the carrier to make sure that insurance, that workman's comp, is still in full force and effect. Because many times they'll have a certificate, but it may have been canceled previously. You want to check and make sure. And if they have an insurance policy, you want to make sure if they're working on your property that you are named on that policy as additionally insured in case there ever is damage, like the plumber soldering copper, sets the place on fire and there's damage. You want to make sure that they have insurance to cover that, but you want to make sure you're named on that policy as additionally insured so you get the check.
Absolutely. Now, one of the questions that came up was, we've heard this before, is can you change the wording in the contract? And I would answer that by saying, if you start messing around with the contract and interpreting the law, you better make sure that you run it by an attorney that is going to defend you in that. So that's a question I would answer. I would get with your attorney, your local attorney, as far as how to word a contract. I'm not convinced that it's going to, and basically the question is, could you say something along the lines of, in lieu of cash down payment, materials are being supplied? I'm going to apply logic to this, not a CPA, not an attorney. If I was the IRS and I looked at that and said, logically, I'm not providing you, the contractor, the lumber so you can go build your own patio for yourself. I'm providing you materials so you can build me a patio. So to me, that sounds, my unskilled, non-expert opinion would be that that's not going to make it any better. Frankly, I even think that would make it worse. That's just my opinion.
Well, a friend of ours, not in this immediate area, but he called a roofer. And when the roofer come to his property, he told the roofer, go on up on the roof and check it out, see what's bad. Well, the roofer fell and hurt himself. So he sued the property owner. And he won his case because the homeowner told him to go up onto the roof. So you got to be careful what you say That's an important thing to think about. If you hire a contractor, don't tell them what to do. Just tell them what needs to be done and let them do the rest of it from there. And I absolutely agree with Tyler. Find out from your attorney if you're going to play word games. Now, I like to do things as best I can with the wording that I use, but you definitely want to make sure if you go to court that you have someone that will defend what you said. You're not an attorney, so don't play one.
Exactly. And it's real easy. Me being a real estate guy, real estate agent, and I mess around with a lot of commercial real estate and things like that. It's easy for me to try to interpret, to play attorney, to write up addendums and things like that. And I got to tell you, here's what I've done. I make up some boilerplate stuff that I think makes sense, because you can take a clause, and I've got several different clauses that apply to different situations. So what I've done is I've sat down with attorneys like Sean and whatnot, and I've taken the clauses that I've used and I run them by them to get their weigh in on it. And basically what I'm looking for is, can you defend this in court, Sean? And if the answer is yes, then I'm going to use it and I'm going to save it. So I'm going to pay him to review my most common clauses, approve them, and then I'm going to hang on to those, knowing that I've already run it by the attorney and I'm in good shape. So just a little bit of word of advice for you. A couple of questions I want you to think about. How are you going to deal with an injury on the job? We just had a situation, some of you know, recently on a fourplex over in Tampa, where 24 hours after we bought it, dude got shot on the property wearing a bulletproof vest. He was totally surprised by the bullet, because he's wearing a bulletproof vest in his living room. Go figure. Anyway, it resulted in a lawsuit and a bunch of drama that goes along with it. So, ask yourself, how are you going to deal with the injury on the job? You may think, well, I've got homeowners insurance. But the question you have to ask yourself, or more importantly, your insurance guy, is the homeowners insurance going to cover that? What type of policy does the contractor have, right, Larry?
Right.
These are things that, questions you're going to want to ask.
Well, no, I just went to a conference where on my website, LarryHarbolt.com, I've got an insurance button, and it's with a company out of Kansas City called REI Guard. Excellent company. A lot of investors use them because they're land trust savvy, and most of us buy our properties using land trust. But he was saying, if there is an injury, the insurance company is suggesting you do not offer to pay for anything or show sympathy to the people until the insurance company takes care of it. Not that you're hard-hearted. It's just you want to make sure the insurance is going to take care of it, and you don't want to get in the middle of it. So he suggested, if someone gets hurt, help them if you can, but don't offer to pay for anything or do anything out of the ordinary. Turn it into the insurance company and let them deal with it.
That's good advice. Are they bonded? And a lot of people don't, people don't talk about bonding anymore. You don't hear much about that. And this is a question you should know the answer to. And we're going to give you this, when we give you this course material later at the end of this call, we're going to go into bonding. Larry covers bonding and what type of bond the contractor should have, what that means, and how it protects you. This is stuff that you need to understand. And if you haven't heard the term bonded, or you're not quite sure what that means, then you're going to want to review those materials and make sure you're up to speed on that. Damage control. This is something that we need to talk about. This comes up a lot. I've had this happen to me. What do you do if the contractor does a bad job? We had an AC contractor, did a terrible job on our place, had to have the work redone, had a window guy, did a terrible job. We had a drywall guy that every time I lay in bed and look up at my bedroom ceiling, I want to strangle the guy still. Someday I got to get that ceiling re-skimmed. What do you do when the contractor does a bad job? How are you going to deal with that? That's a big part of the information we're going to cover, is how to get through that process, because that can be stressful.
Make sure you never pay them till the job meets with your satisfaction and all work is complete. Never pay them prior, because once you pay them prior to the work being finished to your satisfaction, you're going to find it difficult to get them back, finish the work.
Well, and that goes back to the contract too. It's like where I've messed up, Larry, is I haven't gotten a written contract to even. It gets into this he said we said stuff. Well, you said you wanted it blue. No, I said I wanted it too. Well, so now I got a wall that's blue instead of.
I do an independent contractor agreement, and I also have a work scope agreement. And that way, because I've been ripped off, I've had contractors that we've done a walkthrough of the property. They wrote down everything I wanted done room by room on a yellow pad. They did half the work, demanded their money. And when I come to look at the work, they said, when I'd say, well, you didn't replace the ceiling fans. And they said, oh, you never mentioned that. I said, sure I did. You never changed out the electrical outlets and light switches. Oh, you never mentioned that. I said, well, where's your yellow pad? And they said, what yellow pad? And so I had to pay them or they would have put a lien on the property. But I learned a lesson there. I never, ever, ever just tell them what I want. That's why I designed a form where you do a walkthrough of every room. You put a check mark. They bid the job from that. And that way, if not every check mark is checked off, they don't get their final payment.
There you have it. Now, and ask yourself, what are the next steps? What do you do when the contractor stops showing up? Because if you're going to fall into that trap of prepaying the contractor, and it's hard, I'm telling you, it's real hard because some of them are polished at getting over that objection. I say no, and they come up with this, we're a family-run business, and we praise Jesus, and we'll never take advantage of you, I swear. And it's like, oh, here we go. Yeah, rule number 3, if your contractor mentions religion along with their business, you're fixing to get screwed. That's been my experience. They can leave Jesus back at church where he belongs or at the home.
And here's something else. You can put $100 a day late fee. If they're not done within the required time that you both agree on, and you've got to take into consideration weather and, natural situations. But for every day they don't get the job done on time that they agreed to, $100 a day they don't get. You get to keep. And that's a good incentive. But it has to be in the paperwork for that to apply.
Well, it takes long enough, the job could essentially be free. How do you deal with contractors' liens? That's something that comes up a lot. I know you've addressed that in previous trainings, and I know you cover that a lot in this one. Yes, the contractors can put liens on your property. You just said that a few minutes ago. Contractors can put liens on the property. Then what do? You're stuck with this lien. You got to know how to mitigate that, and that's why Larry's documented this in the course, is how to get through this process, and more importantly, Larry, wouldn't you agree, how to avoid it?
Well, some of the liens that get put on by less than ethical contractors, there could be some fraud involved. That's why if that happens, you call Sean and let him take it from there because he knows how to deal with those things. If the lien is on there and it's legitimate, you're going to pay it, or it's going to stay on the property as a lien, and you can't get it off unless you do pay it or you make arrangements of some kind with the contractor. But that's only on legitimate liens.
Little side note, a little bit of a little bonus tip for you guys. If you're looking for opportunity, you're negotiating a deal. Let's say that you're looking at a house and you're going to negotiate. There happens to be a contractor's lien on it. Sometimes these unscrupulous contractors, the lien can be a jacked up amount. Let's say you're negotiating with John the seller and there's a contractor's lien. One of your points of negotiation, not to get off topic, would be is to negotiate you covering that lien when you buy that house. Okay, you're out buying a property, you're sitting down at the kitchen table, you're negotiating with the seller, and they tell you, well, there's a contractor's lien. You can actually go down to the county in the city and whatnot and look for liens, and we're going to cover that coming up on some of our other episodes. We're going to cover how to find liens. So you can look at these liens, call these contractors, see what it's going to take to make these liens good. We had one come up recently where it was like a $20,000 lien that was old. And the contractor, frankly, forgot about it. But guess what? It's still in place. So we were able to offer the contractor $2,000 to make good on the lien. And he took it because it happened to be a situation where $2,000 at this point, when the phone rang, meant a lot to him. So he gladly took $2,000 to wipe the lien off the property, and we were able to carry on with the transaction. and the seller gave us full value. We knocked 20 grand off the purchase price because we took care of the lien. I did this when I was representing one of my clients as a realtor. I learned that from Larry's Never Step Into a Bank program, negotiating liens. Call the contractor and say, dude, you got a $20,000 lien. This lady's probably never going to recover it, but how about we give you 2 grand cash and we'll make it go away? And the guy's like, I could really use 2 grand cash, because the little old lady is never going to pay you out of principle. And, that's a great way to get some extra value. So just think about that. This comes up a lot in our market, and it probably come up a lot in yours, no matter where you are. Have you ever tried to sell a house without the release of a notice of commencement? Every time a contractor pulls a permit on your property, and they're going to usually, it depends on the municipality, but they're going to usually file what they call a notice of commencement. That's basically a notice to everybody that's saying that there's something being done that could constitute a lien on this property down the road. When you have a notice of commencement on a property, in order for a real estate closing to happen and for free and clear title to be transferred, the notice of commencement needs to be closed out. This happens a lot. Number one, a lot of title companies actually miss this, which makes me shudder when I think about it. But my title company, I deal with insured title, they find this all the time, where there's a notice of commencement that was never closed out, which means the contractor may or may not have been paid, or maybe he just didn't do his job. Bottom line is, if you're a rehabber, you hire a contractor to do a flip for you. The contractor files a notice of commencement. Everything's fine and dandy. The work's all done. And then the contractor goes on vacation and never closed out the permits on the property. You've got a problem, because when you go to sell it, they're not going to be able, they're going to have difficulty getting you title insurance. Lenders, buyers, agents like me are going to give you some grief. If you're the seller, you're going to have to make good on that. That could result in you having to hire a different contractor, assign permits. These things get expensive and time consuming. So one of the ways to avoid that is simply have the releases, have a release done for the notice of commencement. I just had a closing 4 or 5 months ago where there was a notice of commencement on there, and we had to hold several $1,000s outside of closing in escrow in the event that the contractor decided to file a claim, because there's an expiration date on those. You can call Matt over at Insured Title if you want to learn more about that, but or maybe Sean could comment on that, whatever. But you want to make sure those are released. You want to add something?
Well, getting back to the contractor liens, the best way to protect yourself is every time you pay the contractor a check for part of the work that's been done, get a partial release of lien for that amount to show that you've paid for certain work that's been done. When the job is finished, you get a release of lien for the entire job. They're a simple one-page form, but they're very important, because once they sign that, that means they've been paid for work performed, and they can't come back and say, you never paid them and you owe them more. But it has to be explicit on the work that they're being paid for.
Okay, meeting the contractor of the job. And guys, I know that in today's society, it's, I put a lockbox on it, go take a look at it and tell me what you think. No, stop doing that. Get in the car, make an appointment, get with the contractor, go walk the property, make a list of everything that's to be done. Heck, I even record it with my cell phone, the whole conversation. And if the contractor has a problem with that, guess what? I have a problem with the contractor. So I just did that recently. I walked a job, a little fourplex over in Tampa, walked the job, had the contractor with me, had my phone going the whole time. They know they're being recorded. I let them know, hey, I'm going to record this so everything's on the same page. That, and I have a terrible memory. This allows me to draft something in writing after we're done with this meeting. Contractor agrees to it on the recording, so we're good to go there. Then I have a audio and visual record of what we've discussed, so there's no question. Worst come to worst, I can play the video back. Question from Chevelle. If there's a contractor lien, would the contractor be paid from the proceeds of the seller in order to close, or would it have to be taken care of in advance of closing day?
Yes.
Either way, never assume someone wouldn't accept something much lesser than what they're owed. I love the idea of recording the appointment with the contractor. Yes, absolutely. in this case, the proceeds were from the seller were held out of escrow, or were held out in escrow. Several $1,000s that the seller could not be paid until we made sure everything was good to go. Once the expiration date passed, we were able to get past it, move on and go on to the next thing. So just make sure you go through that. Document, document, document. When you're there, folks, the reason why you're going in person is you're never to assume anything. This is why I get in trouble with my wife all the time. I assume I'm doing what she wants, and then I find out I wasn't listening, so I'm not doing what she wants. Then she gets mad at me, and I get banished to the shed, which is fine because my tech kayak and all my toys are out there, but that's a whole other story. Never assume anything, guys. Don't assume anything. Walk the property, log the information, make a record of it so everybody's on the same page.
Well, that's why in this course that we're offering you today, there is a form that I designed that because when I have a property that needs work, I walk the property. I check the box room by room by room of everything that it will need. And I've got just about everything that needs to be done to any property. I put a check mark, either yes or no. And that is what, when the contractor goes, I give them a copy of that. And we walk through and they initial, every one of them, that is exactly what they're going to bid the job. There's no mistake. There's no, saying, well, we never talked about that. This is a way that you're going to make sure that everything you want done gets done, and you're not going to have the problem that I had. Very, very important.
All right, guys. Be specific. I told the story this weekend at Larry's boot camp of the fact that times where I was not specific and I wound up with different things. Oh, look, there's my flooring girl. Bear with me 1 second, guys. Okay. So, 1 second, guys. Don't know why my texts are still popping up.
Well, that form I talk about that's in this little course is critical because this is, exactly what you want done, and you have to make sure the contractor does. And that simple form can save you thousands of dollars. This particular one, the be specific when outlining your expectations, what I do is on my independent contractor sheet, I go back through the pages that I did the check mark on. They're all numbered. And then I put down the number of each one of the items that has to be done. So to get their first draw, I highlight the things that need to be done first, let's say in yellow. So on that independent contractor agreement, I number 1, number 7, 13, 59, 27, and I number them and I highlight them yellow. To get the second draw, they've got to have certain things done. You'd be surprised, especially when you put in your contractor agreement, when you come to do an inspection to give them a draw payment, if they don't have everything done, it's a $75 trip fee and they don't get their check. So it's a good way to keep them in line. You just have to work it out with them, what's going to be done to get the first draw, to get the second draw. I only pay in 4 draws. I don't care about their crew needing, booze and drugs on the weekend. So they got to be paid every Friday. No, I'll pay them every Friday if that specific amount of work has been done for them to get one of their 4 draws.
Bear with me, guys. Having technical difficulty at the moment. Okay. You guys see my screen? All right, good. Okay. This is a hard one for me. I got to tell you, develop and stick to a strict budget. That means once you decide what something's going to, once you've had the conversation with the contractors, you've established a budget, they should have already built in some extra fluff in there to protect themselves. Man, it looks like it's ready to get nasty out there. You guys, if we drop, guys, it's because we're getting ready to storm. But anyway, develop and stick to a very strict budget. Document all discussions in writing. I can't begin to tell you how important this is. You've got to document absolutely everything.
Or record every discussion.
Absolutely.
Tell the contractor that you're recording this for posterity, but make sure you record it. So, memories play tricks on certain people when they want to forget something. If it's recorded, then it's hard for them to forget it because you've got it saved. And as long as you told them you were recording it, it can be used against them.
Absolutely. Now, guys, you want to take things to the next level, we're going to make it really simple so that everybody can take advantage of this opportunity, like we said in the beginning. This is Larry's new mini course. It's called the Fix and Flippers Framework. Okay, now, no, it's not $997 or none of that stuff. Larry came out to offer this to you, and what it includes is, stay with me here, complete guides on interviewing and vetting the contractors. Okay, everything you need to interview and vet the contractors. The worksheets that you can take with you on the job site. That's worth $100 easily. And no, the course isn't even $100. How about that? Sample documents to take to your attorney's office, when crafting work agreements with your contractor. Sean's over there going, damn. No, but seriously, what this does, the benefit of this is, instead of the attorney drafting it from scratch, it gives them an outline to go off of. So essentially, it's a time saver. Attorneys charge by the hour, as they well should. So this helps them get things done more efficiently and results in a lower attorney's bill for you, provided the agreement is a good one. That's why Larry built this agreement. It's been reviewed by attorneys. It's been tweaked and crafted, whatever. Most attorneys agree with it as it's written. Of course, some attorneys will want to make small changes based on where you are, but this is a huge time saver for you guys. All total, the value of those things is $1,297. Larry's giving it away for $1. $1. I have not run an ad on this anywhere. The only place that we've just showed this to anyone else is at his boot camp this past weekend, and everybody bought one. Big shocker there, because it's a course for $1. So $1,
and it's more than 2 pages.
Yeah, exactly. Those of you that bought the fix and flip, the blueprint and the foundations will realize there's a heck of a lot more value there than what we're taking back in cash value. Tonight at 8 o'clock, we're going to take it back to $97, but right now the course is available for $1. Now, it's probably running as we speak at 97. Here's how we're going to do this, because Beth, my assistant, who usually does the pricing, fixes the pricing for me. Her internet was down thanks to Bright House, or not Bright House, but Spectrum. Big shocker there. She's in the process of moving. So right now, it will probably charge you $97 because I didn't tell her that we were doing this today, so she couldn't change the price. So here's what we're going to do. If it still shows $97, go ahead and pull the trigger on the $97. I'm going to refund you back $96 immediately as soon as I get off this call. So it will still cost you $1, but I will refund you the $96 if it doesn't charge you $1, okay? Little technical workaround. Sometimes we got to work around stuff. So there you have it. That said, how to get there is to go to larryharbolt.com/rehab. That's how you get to his new website. We've revamped his entire website. Now, the whole idea here, guys, is what we're doing. This is a work in progress. This course is done, this mini course. It is all done. That's why it's normally only $97, because it's a mini course. you're getting it for $1. We are working on a fix and flip master course right now. That course is work in progress. It's going to be launched this fall at some point. That's why Larry's actually here today, is we're going to be recording some of the videos that are going to be included in his big course. That is coming down the road. We'll probably be releasing that somewhere between Thanksgiving and Christmas. But that course, those that are pre-registered for that one, we're doing a Facebook group, which is something we've never done before for Larry. We're doing a Facebook group that's private just for the people that have pre-ordered his next biggest course. You guys will have the opportunity to take advantage of that if you want to and be part of the content creation process with Larry. That is going to be, we're going to be doing that. We've actually started doing it already, building out a lot of that. We're covering basically everything that Larry has gone through with fix and flip. And we are calling that, we'll get there eventually. Fix and Flippers Tricks of the Trade course. Larry wrote a course a few years back called Tricks of the Trade. That in itself is a kind of a mind-blowing course. It was a book. What we've done is we've taken that course and we've evolved it into that book and evolved it into a full course. What he's going to be doing is actually walking jobs, walking properties here in the Tampa Bay market, showing people the things that you should be looking at, number one, when you're buying a property. Whether it be a rental or a flip, it's important to know what things to be looking for. Kind of like a home inspection, but things that as a buy and hold person or a flipper, things that should be red flags. Trying to give, and then he's also going to walk you through, and this is the best part for me. He's got a ton of formulas included with his course that we're building out. Well, formulas are all fine and dandy when they're printed on a page, but I'm not by any means a mathematician. That's where Jill comes in. She's good at that stuff. We're going to videotape him actually going through the formulas and teaching us how to use the formulas effectively, how to calculate building materials, how to calculate the supplies that you're going to need, the carpet, the paint, the whole 9 yards. All of that is going to be covered in this course that's coming up. Figuring repair cost is a big one because it's great to get the contractors out there. They give you a price, but how do you know if that price makes any sense? Well, you're going to actually learn how to bid like a contractor. You're going to learn the formulas to come up with your own costs. So essentially, after you're done taking this course, when we're done with it, you should be able to, if you know a contractor's labor rate, come up with a bid that is somewhere close to where they're coming up with. No more will there be a mystery. We're going to eliminate that. You're going to learn how to make money from the repairs that you do. How to actually make money from the repairs that you do. When you're flipping a property or renting a property, it's important to know what your money is going into. In other words, if you do a bath remodel, how much is that going to impact your setup? And you can see some people have already started grabbing it here. Every formula that Larry has done before to get his general contractor's license is going to be included with this course. Every single formula. This is the formulas that all contractors use. Therefore, if you know their individual labor rate, $60, $80, $100, $200 an hour, whatever it winds up being, you should be able to come somewhere up in the ballpark. That's important. How to examine any house for repairs. Realtors, you're walking properties, I don't expect you to learn how to do home inspection, but it would be a good idea to know how bad something's going to be. If you're selling a house to somebody that's only got $500 to their name, then you should probably know that if you see drywall seams popping, that's going to get expensive pretty quick. 25 formulas, guys, to estimate the amount of materials so you don't overspend. As I talked about, video sessions with Larry, actually walking the job, and the rehabber's math. This is the best part for me, frankly. I'm being a little selfish because I need help with the rehabber's math. The fact that I was never good at rehabber's math is why I got the shaft from a lot of my contractors. I'm excited about this piece of it. I can't wait. We haven't started recording that piece yet, but I'm looking forward to that. Audio lessons. Larry's gonna sit down and record audio lessons for specific rehab tips and tricks. Things that, he's been doing this, what, 37 years now? 38 years?
Yeah, I've been in the business 38 years.
So all due respect, but you've made a lot of mistakes in 38 years.
Volumes of mistakes, yes.
And you're going to talk about those on this video.
Yep.
Or on the audios. So that's going to be a huge bonus. Audio and video of Larry carrying the many projects he's done in the past and what he learned from them. The entire course is going to be electronic. See, what we're trying to do is phase out the paper courses. Why? Because I don't want you guys putting these on your shelves. I want you taking action. You don't have an excuse when you're sitting at the doctor's office anymore, because you'll be able to access 100% of this course from your cell phone, from your iPad, from your laptop. You're officially out of excuses. You can even access this from your Apple Watch. Ooh, how about that? Sample contracts, outlines, and tons of other documents. All of Larry's cheat sheets regarding to rehab are going to be included. Now, these contracts, the reason why we say sample is you can use them right out of the box, but Larry always advises that you should take them by your attorney, have your attorney take a peek at them, and
critique them for the state you live in.
Right, make sure they make sense. We know that Larry likes to refer to them as the traveling gurus. They charge you about $30,000 for this easily. Larry's not anywhere near that. That's not how Larry operates. Those of you that know Larry know that the most expensive course Larry has, which is his master course, the Never Step Into a Bank program, that entire course, which is 4 days in person, more materials for those of you that are on the call that did that, more materials than you ever imagine. He only charges $19.97 for that one, which I keep telling him is ridiculously cheap. But that's what he wants to do. He wants to provide value to the marketplace. He's offering this lifetime access to this course. And the beauty of the lifetime access, guys, is that because it's online, we're going to continue adding to it as time goes on. As more questions come up, we're going to add a group mastermind, which means you're going to be sitting with Larry on a video call like what we're doing now, and you're going to have the opportunity to ask specific questions and get answers to them. We're going to document that, and we're going to include it in the course. So the people that get in on the pre-order are going to actually be able to help us build out the course. That's part of the reason why he's offering such a huge discount on the pre-order of the fix and flip tricks of the trade, because you're actually helping him create the content that we need to help people be successful. You're going to get access to all those course updates, and it's going to be delivered right online to your cell phone if you want it. Those are available to you at that same link, the same link that we gave you before. You will be offered that opportunity. Like I said, the $1 thing, if the $1 thing isn't working right now, I will issue you the $96 refund after this call. But today only, pre-order status, and then we're gonna change the price once we get out of the pre-order status. He's offering it for $797. $797, you get actual rehab coaching done online via this exact same venue with Larry. You get all of his course materials from his master course, the Tricks of the Trade course, the videos, the audios, the contracts, the forms. Those of you that are flipping properties, those of you that are buying rental property, you're going to do some rehab at some point. The $797 is not going to be the full price. The full price is going to be probably around $2,000. But he's offering it now at $797.
Everybody that buys real estate needs this information. That's why I put it together. If you're doing real estate, you have to know how to figure repair costs. You have to understand how contractors think, and you need to be able to outthink the contractors. That's what this course is all about.
And I've been down the road of not being able to outthink them. So we talked about $1 today for the framework. That's $1,297 in savings. When you get into that course, you will see pretty quickly. Those of you that pulled the trigger already, you will see real quick. $797 today. That takes the savings to an additional $6,197 for Tricks of the Trade. Total $7,497 in savings. That doesn't even get into the amount of money that you're going to save by not giving it to unscrupulous contractors. Guys, we're talking about $798. saves you from being ripped off, taken advantage of, mistakes made for tens of thousands of dollars. Now, if you're not going to do real estate or you're never going to fix up a house, then don't do it because you'd be wasting your money. You don't need this information. But if you're going to own any real estate at all in the next 10 years, you would be crazy not to take advantage of it. You're going to get to take part in help build a course with a 37-year veteran of real estate investing. You can get it at that same link, at larryharbolt.com/rehab. I hope you guys learned from today's session. This means a lot to me. Number one, that Larry takes the time out of his day to come out here and do this. Now at $797, I can assure you, it is not a profit center for Larry or I, because that actually covers the marketing of the full course when it's done. Really is what it works out to be. When you get into this course and see the information that's already there, see, we've already got a lot of this already built out. We've got probably about half of it built out. When you get in there, you're going to be blown away with the half that we're giving you access to now. You get the audio, the videos, and everything else built in, then it's going to be ridiculous, the kind of value that you're going to get.
We've got the written material.
Yep, written material is mostly done. So at this stage, does anybody have any questions? I know we threw a lot of information at you. There's a lot of stuff to cover, but do you have any questions? We'll go ahead and stop share and switch. All right. I think it's hilarious that Jill has got your picture. She's going to kill me when I get home.
Yeah. I bet she's really proud of that picture.
Yeah. Look how pretty you are, honey. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap up for today? We kept you a little longer than normal. We're about 12 minutes late, but I wanted to make sure that you guys had the opportunity to take part in this. We haven't advertised the pre-sale to the general public, mainly because I don't want a bunch of weirdos screwing up the process for us building out good content. I'm only opening this up to a small number of people that we know, like, and trust, that we've worked with before, or that know us and know what to expect. So that's why we're offering this. Opportunity is completely yours. You can do it, not do it, whatever. I think if you don't do it, you're going to regret it. But be careful out there, because I just went through some, like, quoting tile jobs and dealing with painters, and still there's so much to learn, guys. And I have done a lot of rehabs, and I still learn something even to this day. I've gone through all of Larry's materials in helping him put this course online, and Beth, our assistant, has been working on this course material, and I've forgotten how much there is to learn. But when I go through these materials, it all comes back to me. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of information using the checklist, especially like when you got in the master course, guys, there's a checklist. You can walk through Home Depot and go through the checklist that, you need a base cabinet, you need a sink. Here's the SKU number. Here's the price, a punch list. So you can give it to the contractor and go, here.
This is what you're going to use.
Right. Which means if we're going to spend $7,312 on rehab materials, we're not going to spend $9,000. We're not going to get these little stupid add-ons that I assure you far exceed the cost of the entry level of this course, the $797 price of this course. So it's worth its weight in gold, and I hope you take the opportunity to pull the trigger. You guys don't have any questions. We're going to get that. Larry's here today, as I said earlier, to start working on creating some of that video content. So we're going to be working on that today, if the weather is going to allow us to. But no other questions at this point. I hope you take the opportunity to pull the trigger. Whether you buy any type of property, you're going to need this information, and we want to thank you guys for coming out this week. Stephanie, when you go to that link, you will be given the opportunity to purchase the course at the $797 price. That's larryharbolt.com/rehab. Kind of like drug rehab, but not. Click on that. It'll give you the opportunity to pull the trigger on the course. It looks like the dollar link is working. Eric, I saw you purchased it. Did it take $1? Okay, good. Good. I don't have to do a whole bunch of refunds. That's awesome. If you wanted to go on to the second piece of the course, it's $797. Get cracking on that. We're going to leave that up until tonight. We're going to be busy today creating some content. We were going to go out and maybe walk a property, but I'm not sure if the good Lord's going to let us with the weather today. I don't know what you think, but and guys, lastly, thanks to Sean Yesner. Sean had to drop off the call. He probably had an appointment, but I want to, now that he's not on the call, especially, I want to say he is a great guy. Besides being my attorney, he takes time out of his day. He doesn't charge me to come on this call to answer your legal questions. That's pretty cool. I don't know too many attorneys that will do that. So I have no problem wearing a shirt because I want you guys to pick up the phone if you've got legal questions and ask him, because if he can't answer it, he'll refer you to somebody that can. I appreciate the value he brings to my community and to you people, my friends, my family. I really appreciate him doing that, and I want to express that, especially when he's not on the call. So, Gesner Law, reach out to Sean if you have legal questions, and like I said, he'll take good care of you. He takes real good care of us.
Yep, and he's one of my students.
So, Dave, to answer your question, you went to the website, purchased the course for $1. You'll be given the opportunity to get the next course. You'll get, if you watch your email in about 15 to 20 minutes, you're going to get a link to go on and create a login and password. And the course is actually on a website, which means you can access it from your phone, from your mobile device, from your computer, wherever you want. It'll give you direct access to the course. So if you have any questions, drop me an email, info, I-N-F-O, at cashflowguys.com. That will go to both Beth and I. Beth is our assistant. Info at cashflowguys.com. That email goes to both of us. She's smarter than I am with the technical crap. I got to be honest with you. So, you'll get a quick response with her when her internet comes back up, that is, because it's been down for 2 days. But there you have it. So, guys, no other questions. I appreciate it. You have a wonderful weekend, and let's get some cash flowing, huh?
Thank you for being on the call.